everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing very well. This is the first sit down video that I have filmed since having little girl here. So I wanted to do a meet my baby / labour and delivery story because I've had so many questions about whether I'm going to make this kind of video, because I put up a birth vlog obviously, but that didn't really explain too much about what happened. So yeah, I wanted to make a separate video just explaining how it all went and also introducing you to, oh God, to River Wilde, our little baby girl. She's super snuggly. I know. I'm trying to show you her face, but she's just really comfy like this. So yes, this is baby River, and she was born on her due date, Friday the 24th of August, at 9:58 in the morning, and she weighed a whopping 8 pounds 7 ounces. I felt every pound, every ounce of that, and yeah, we are just so happy that she's finally here. We're just so happy, guys. We feel like she completes our family, and yeah, we're just super happy that she's here. She's a little sweetheart. She looks a spitting image of Lawson. She's now a week old, so I'm filming this on Friday to go up on Sunday. So I'm hoping to get up a first week postpartum update as well in the next few days, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I just wanted to introduce you guys because she's an absolute sweetheart, aren't you? You want to have a look at the camera? Oh, what do you think to that, baby girl? Oh. She just wants to snuggle. Anyway, I'm gonna get Dan to take her now, so that I can chat to you properly through our labour and delivery. Okay, so now that she's gone, I can start chatting you through our labour and delivery story. I got a reasonable amount of sleep last night, so my brain isn't feeling too fuzzy, but if this video is a little bit all over the place, it's just because I am generally just quite knackered, so apologies. But yeah, I will try and articulate it as well as I possibly can. So it did start on Thursday the 23rd, the day before I went into labour. I just felt a little bit different. I remember from my vlogs with Lawson, because I've been watching them weekly to compare how I've been feeling and things like that, especially towards the end, because I don't know if you can tell on my 39-week update I was feeling pretty frustrated because I kept having all of these false starts and then they never amounted to anything, and it was just really annoying. But yes, on that Thursday I definitely felt different, and I had that feeling like I was going to come on my period, which I remember saying at my 39-week update with Lawson as well. And I gave birth to him literally a couple of days after I filmed that. So yes, I felt different on the Thursday, and I thought, this girl's coming soon. And I saw my mum that day as well, and she said to me you look different today, I think she's coming soon. And me and Daniel, I don't know, we just had a feeling that she was going to come that night. Daniel was oh, I'm gonna do a workout that night, and I was just I just don't think you should. I think we both need to rest as much as we can, because I feel like she's coming, and Daniel had that same feeling too. And then what do you know, she came that night, or it started that night. So I went to bed around 9 o'clock as usual, and I woke up at probably about 11:30 with some contractions. I can't explain it the other way. And I think they were coming maybe every 10-15 minutes or so, so not very regularly at all, but they were definitely there. And my brain, I probably could have slept through them, but my brain was just so buzzing and so is this it, that I couldn't sleep. So I woke up and I just started timing them, and I just sat on my phone for a bit and chilled out. I went downstairs, went on my ball, probably until about 1 o'clock in the morning, when they were coming a little bit quicker, and I thought I'm gonna wake Daniel up now because I think this is the real deal. So I went back in, I woke him up and I was like, I think things might be starting, like I think she's on her way. And Daniel was like, oh really? I was like, yeah, you can stay asleep, like just get a rest and I'll wake you up. But Daniel couldn't sleep through it then either. We were both just too excited. So yeah, we both went downstairs and like chilled out for a little bit. I was bouncing on my ball, just watching some TV. Lawson was just in bed at this point. And then yeah, at around 3 AM or so they started to get like a little bit more regular, and so we decided to ring the midwives and just let them know that I'm in labour and like they don't need to come out yet, but like I'm in the early stages. With a home birth they always recommend that you call them kind of as soon as you think things are starting to happen, especially with second babies. They don't like to stay too far away because they can come very quickly, as you'll find out. And then things just carried on progressing. Like I carried on timing my contractions, and when they were coming sort of every 2 to 3 minutes, we rang the midwives again and told them that, and they said, okay, we'll pop out to you and like see how you're getting on, and yeah, see what happens kind of thing. So they came probably around maybe around 5 AM or so, and at this point they were coming like every 1 to 2 minutes, but they weren't particularly getting any stronger. They were just kind of like coming that regularly, but they weren't really going anywhere. So that was kind of, I was a bit like worried about that. Oh, we dropped Lawson off by that point as well. My mum had come round probably about 3 o'clock and collected Lawson. We filmed that bit on the vlog, and honestly I can't get through that bit of the vlog without crying. Like it makes me so emotional, and to be honest I think that kind of threw me off and was like the start of events to come after that. So yeah, we said goodbye to Lawson. The midwives came over, and basically like nothing against those midwives or anything, like they were absolutely lovely. I'd met one of them previously on like an antenatal appointment and I really liked her, and when she arrived I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad it's you. Like this is going to be awesome, it's going to be really lovely. But as soon as they came, they kind of, I just became very aware of everything, and they came in. I was having walks around the living room at that point to try and like keep things moving and keep things progressing quickly, because that's what I did with Lawson's labour, and things progressed really nicely. And then they came in and they just put their bags everywhere, like all over the lounge, and so there was hardly any room for me to like do any walking. I was like cramped up in this little corner doing like little mini circles, and then I went on my ball and tried to zone out. I had Zoella on the telly because I find her vlogs just really comforting, so I had her on and I tried to like zone out and just focus on that. But then they started having this conversation about like, oh, YouTubers these days, and this is how it's all going now, is we're just watching people's lives, and they didn't really get the whole deal. And Daniel was like, my wife actually does YouTube. Like it was a bit of an awkward conversation, and I just felt very watched and very uncomfortable. Like they did my observations, but they made me like lie down to do all of my observations and things like that, which never happened with Lawson. They always kind of like just did it wherever I was kind of thing, and I basically felt really interrupted and really like I was already kind of on a mental downer because I'd said bye to Lawson and that upset me. And I just, yeah, I felt very interrupted, very observed and not comfortable at all. And I think all of those things together meant that my labour really slowed down. Like my contractions were previously coming like every 1 to 2 minutes, and then once they came they were like once every 10 minutes, and they were like hardly intense at all. It just slowed right down, and they could see that, and they even said themselves that it might be that you feel a little bit like interrupted and this can happen. And so I just got myself into a little bit of a tizzy I think, and the midwives could see that I was frustrated, and so they left. They were like, we're just gonna leave you now, like why don't you go back to bed, try and get some rest, and then just see what happens. So that was at about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I decided to take myself back to bed, and I got about an hour's rest. I was still having a few contractions during that time, but they were like every 20 minutes I would say. Like I had probably about 4 like 3 or 4 that hour. I woke up at around 7 and decided to run myself a bath because like my brain was just on overdrive, and I was just like, do you know what, I am in pain, I'm just gonna run myself a bath and I can sit in that, hopefully relax, zone out, stick YouTube on again, and like just try and chill a little bit. And at that point in my birth vlog I got quite emotional when I was running my bath because I was just so frustrated that it had all stopped, and I missed Lawson so much, and so I almost wanted the birth to go quicker just so I could see him quicker. Like I just missed him, and I was just getting worked up about not knowing when I would see him again, and that got me really upset. So yes, that's the bit in the bathroom in the birth vlog when I was crying and like I wasn't in a good state, trying to like eat my Rice Krispies. But yeah, just generally feeling really gutted that it hadn't gone anywhere. But yeah, then I climbed in the bath, and literally a couple of contractions later, probably about 7:20, my waters broke, I'm pretty sure. So I had a contraction, and then I basically felt a pop at the top of my stomach, and I literally said to myself like, what the F was that? Like, what the F? I didn't know what was going on. I'd never had that before. I had to have my waters broken with Lawson, and so they've never broken naturally by themselves, but I had heard that like sometimes you can get a pop and then they break. But obviously I was in the bath, and so I couldn't tell whether I was like leaking or trickling or gushing or anything. I couldn't tell. And so I was texting my sister-in-law, who has done like a lot of training and a lot of work experience with midwives and breastfeeding and that kind of thing. I was texting her and I was like, I think my waters have just broken in the bath, but I can't tell because I'm in the bath. And she was like, well, stand up and see if anything's like trickling out or anything. So I stood up, and I don't think I was leaking anything. I think basically my waters had broken, but it was just a really slow release. It wasn't like a gush or anything, it was just like a couple of trickles here and there, and that continued on until I had River. So yes, from that point when I got out the bath, my contractions started coming like really thick and fast. I actually rang the midwives and told them my waters had broken, but I was just like, I don't want you to come out because I don't want the same to happen again. I don't want things to slow down, so I'm just letting you know that that's happened, but I'll call you when I want you to come out. And then literally probably about 5 minutes later, Daniel was like, I'm calling them, like they need to be here, because they were coming one on top of the other, and I was starting to feel like the pressure of needing to push. And so I was like, oh my goodness, like they were really ramping up really quickly. So we went downstairs, the midwives arrived, and they were brilliant. Daniel told them to put all of their stuff in the kitchen this time so that it wouldn't like clutter up my birthing space. And yeah, she was just brilliant. Like while she came in and she was unloading like all of her stuff, she shut the door and she was like, I'm just gonna leave you to it. She was just absolutely brilliant. Leslie, her name was, and she was fantastic. Like she didn't disturb me at all. She was just brilliant. And so at this point I was just kind of having a little stand up. I was holding on to Daniel for contractions. We fitted the TENS machine because I started to feel like I kind of needed it. So the midwives helped with that and with like fitting it and everything. And then yeah, I stood for as long as I could because I wanted things to progress quickly. But then I was very aware that I didn't want to give birth in the same position that I did with Lawson, which was standing up, because I had to use Daniel at that point, and then Daniel didn't get to fully enjoy the experience or like see the experience or anything like that. And so I was pretty adamant that I wanted to give birth like on all fours. And so at that point I was using my ball, which you will have seen in my birth vlog, and I was kind of leaning over it on all fours and kind of just breathing through as best as I could the contractions. And then yeah, throughout the next like 2 hours they just ramped up and up and up, and I started feeling the urge to push. I started feeling my body was doing it for me, and I just went with it. That's what the midwife said. They were just like, any urge that your body is having, just go with it, just go with it. And so that's what I tried to do. And then yeah, basically like you will have seen in my birth video, it got pretty vocal and pretty one born every minute towards the end. It was very, very intense. I had done hypnobirthing, but I definitely felt through throughout this pregnancy that I haven't been able to like switch on the relaxation as much, because I've just got a toddler to run around after, and you can't relax that much when you're like running around after a toddler. And yeah, I just found it really difficult throughout this pregnancy to like really get into the relaxation mode. And so even at this point in my labour, I was pretty with it. Like I knew what was going on, and I was very aware of like the sensations, shall we say, in my body. And so yeah, I was pretty vocal at that point, and it felt like I was pushing for a very, very long time. My body was pushing and I didn't feel like anything was happening. And I think that was the worst bit, is that every contraction was just so intense, but I didn't feel like it was going anywhere until like right at the very end. Like I couldn't feel her head or anything like that. It was just kind of bearing down for a very, very long time. But then eventually, obviously, her head, like I could feel that, and that was fine, because then you know you're near the end, right, when you get the ring of fire and all of that. So yeah, basically she took a long time to kind of come into the birth canal, I think. So I was just pushing and pushing, like just trying to breathe as best as I could. The midwives were amazing in the way that they like didn't want me to tear this time, and I was very like vocal that I didn't want to tear this time because I didn't want to end up back in hospital. So yeah, she was coaching me through very precisely all of my contractions. She told me to push, told me to breathe, little pushes, like, and I kind of really needed that. I needed to know what to do. And so basically her head was out, and then to stop me from tearing, they had to flip me over onto my back.
I think it would be an idea now is to turn over, because there's a bit of bleeding now, with baby's stretching inside. And obviously it's important that although baby's coping extremely well,
what do you mean turn over?
Turn over, so we get some cushioning down, so you can lean against the chair. We'll get the back of the cushions at the back. That's it, you just do.
Which, guys, I can't even explain how excruciating that was. Like, I'm all for positive births and everything like that, and this was a very positive birth and it was beautiful and wonderful, but oh my gosh, I won't be doing this again, like in a hurry or ever. Because that was excruciating. Her head was out and they had to flip me over onto my back, just to try and relieve some of the pressure to stop me from tearing, so that they could kind of guide her out a little bit more. I also think she was at a bit of a funny angle, so basically they had to rotate her a little bit to get her shoulders out. And so yeah, that was pretty intense. That's why we didn't get that bit on video, because Daniel was like, he had to like hold my legs up and things, but it meant he got like a little look at what was going on, and he actually, like, he didn't want to look at all. Like, he was pretty adamant throughout my pregnancy that he didn't want to have a look at what was going on, but when he was there, he was just like, ooh, had a little peek, and yeah, said it was amazing actually. So yeah, I'm glad he got to do that, because it's probably the last time we're going to do this. And yeah, then like after some rotation and some moving around and things, she was born, and it was the biggest relief of my entire life. Oh my goodness. So they put her on me like straight away. We had skin to skin, and yeah, it was just amazing. They had to give me the injection for the placenta, because I think I was bleeding quite heavily, so they did that, and then the placenta was born probably within like 10 minutes or so, like quite easy. And then yeah, they examined me, and I had torn a little bit, but it followed the line of like my last stitches basically, and it wasn't that bad that I needed to go to hospital, so she did it at home, which I was just like, oh thank you God, like what a relief that we got to stay at home. And so yeah, we somehow managed to get me onto the sofa, and they gave me a lot of gas and air, which was a real highlight, to be honest. I was like high as a kite having these stitches done, trying to breastfeed my baby, but like failing miserably because I was high. And yeah, and then like afterwards it was just so calm and peaceful. We all just sat around. Daniel made me some tea and toast, which I was like, yes, I got it, I got my tea and toast. Tasted flipping amazing. And yeah, we all just sat around just chatting, drinking tea, having biscuits, and like I was trying to get my energy back up. The midwife stuck around until I had done a wee and things like that, and they did all of River's postnatal checks, like post-birth checks and everything, and yeah, it was all just lovely. And they left just a couple of hours later, and then that was it. Then they came back the next day. The placenta lady came to collect my placenta, to make my placenta pills as well. And yeah, it was just such a lovely, calm experience. And then we spent the afternoon just in bed, like resting before Lawson came back. I met his baby sister, which I will talk about like in the next video where I'm doing my first week update. So yeah, that is how it went down. It was a really positive experience. Not quite as painless as I remember it being with Lawson. Lawson's was like a very euphoric, very relaxing experience. This one I was a lot more aware, so not so much, but I've done it and I was really happy. I'm so happy that we finally got our baby girl. Yeah, this video is so long, I'm so sorry. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little insight into my birth. Thank you so much for like all of your support during this pregnancy, and like for watching all of the updates and everything. Like it literally means the world to us. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little video, you guys. Make sure you're subscribed for upcoming newbornness and for our first week update, which will be coming up like the next video hopefully. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it and I will see you in my next one. Bye!